All right.
That was so...
Okay. We certainly have another minute until it's go time, but
that was so
you can see
intense.
my balding noggin up here.
Well, don't do this to the camera then.
Well, I need to put a monitor like over here.
Yeah.
So that I can just have like a Bluetooth mouse.
Oh, it can't be here.
Yeah, it can't be right there.
That's my face.
Yeah, that's the problem.
You can mount a TV and hook up a TV.
Oh, you're fucking right.
I usually am.
I could hook up that TV. The giant.
You could.
The 55-inch TV before.
You already have one. What a silly, silly man. You already have one.
I am a silly, silly man. Okay. So this is a test of a new podcast that we are calling Let's Make a Movie. I just realized I don't actually know if that's already a podcast.
I don't either. We should Google it.
Let's, wait, okay.
There's like 4.
Fuck. Let's make a movie podcast. I think there's a Let's Make a... Oh, fuck me in the dick. There's a Let's Make a Movie.
Dang.
And they stopped in 2020. They went from June 5th to August 16th.
Bumskis. I like their symbol.
Oh, yeah. That's a good symbol.
It's good.
Shit. So this is
all right, guys, that's it.
Roll credits. Fuck. This is a podcast about making movies.
Making movies.
Starting
to be determined.
Title to TBD. TTBD. It's all about us talking our way through making a film. And there's just like in the real world, there's no pressure to actually make anything that we come up with.
No.
But the idea is that eventually we get to a thing.
That's so good we can't help but make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we also...
You can really just like get all up in there if you want.
Listen, we're being recorded. We're terrible.
Anyway, I'm Michael Keene.
I'm Cherry the Mouth.
And this is TTTBD. Make sure. Oh, it's yellow.
I hate yellow.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh jeez.
He's just making it worse.
Oh my God.
You can't see yet.
There we go.
He's making it worse.
All right. So
I just got a good old... it's not pen and paper. It's
my hands. My hands are too greasy and sweaty.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna make this iPad my bitch. All right. So we need to come up with a movie.
Yes.
Yes. I guess actually, first of all, for people who are just tuning in to this channel / world of people,
our budding cinematic universe.
We should introduce ourselves. I'm Michael Keene, as I said. Well, we don't need to introduce our names. We already said our names.
We already did that part.
I co-directed Fatal Future and directed The Head and the soonish to be released Dr. Deathface. Just doing some color correction on that and some sound stuff because that doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. That's not a good way to start. Hey, I'm the filmmaker on the podcast, and I'm really bad at my job.
I'm doing a great job at it.
I've made all of some money on my filmmaking.
That's more than not at all.
That's more than not at all.
Some is more than none. That's what my dad tells me.
Some is more than none. Put that on a t-shirt. Honestly, that's a good title.
It's
for the
not
podcast.
For the podcast. Some is more than none.
Yeah.
I actually don't hate it.
Right?
I actually don't hate it.
We just gave birth on a live stream.
My dad's gonna be so incredibly proud that he's like, I say that. I'm like, you do say that, Dad.
So Casey, my dear wife, says from the living room, what about let's fake a movie since they aren't getting actually made? So the only problem is we might make it. It's like being in a brainstorming room, and then if we move past that initial brainstorming, we will then move into, pre-production, which is also something that's very podcastable. Production, we'd probably do like vlogs for the channel, but then also for the podcast, we'd do like a weekly summary or something like that. I firmly believe that we could do an entire podcast through the making of a movie and make a decent movie.
I think we could make some of these movies. Though Let's Fake a Movie is an incredible title.
Let's Fake a Movie is
a really good. I think Let's Fake a Movie would be a really good movie about a really shitty filmmaker who like got a loan. It's like Fraud. He like got a loan.
And he starts a podcast to cover his trail.
That's actually what we're doing here. It's too close to home.
Too close to home. And Guillermo, sweet Guillermo.
Oh, we love Guillermo.
Part of our team. Says, loving the lighting and team. And then my dear wife came in and just threw dog food on the ground.
You're streaming on that TV.
I am?
Just to let you know.
Oh, so don't say anything.
Well, Oliver's got really mad because that was his show. And now he has to see you and he doesn't want to see you.
Hi. Oh, no, he's coming to the studio. Cool.
What are you doing in here?
We're recording a podcast.
Why did you do this?
Why did I do this? That's a great question, actually.
God, what every filmmaker asks, and he's learned it so
34
young.
years old.
Actually, that would be a great name for the title. Why do we do this?
Why did I do this, baby?
Oh, I should do my intro for my credentials or whatever. So I'm Cherry the Mouth. Yes, that is my government name. Don't ask. I've been a performer basically my entire life. At 15, I switched to production. I mostly do production in live entertainment. So concerts and plays, and most recently, magic.
Magic.
Production is my autistic hyperfixation, and I love it so much. And I'm the personality hire. Let's be real.
Yeah. No, this is diversity. I mean, this is actually a good dynamic because I have experience making garbage films.
And I have experience watching them.
Yes, you're kind of you're the audience surrogate.
Yeah.
In this story.
But I'm also not.
See, we know how storytelling works. That's
half the battle, guys.
half the battle.
I do have experience, and I do know what I'm talking about. I'm just used to doing it live, which is a different beast. So it'll be fun to talk about movies.
And being pro-choice. Oliver, you're not on the podcast. You're not. We're not even doing guests yet.
We're not even doing guests yet.
Hey, you can be on a different podcast sometime, okay? Come on.
You can be on the next one, okay?
Yeah.
Actually, we could do a whole podcast about like kids, like
He can come up with a movie.
yeah,
But not this time.
That would be a fun.
it would be fun. Flawless.
Perfect.
I wish we got that
She
again.
just carried him out by his ankles,
Yeah.
just like in the stories of old.
Work from home, everybody. Work from home.
RBJ says, or I'm sorry, RB Junior, RBJR, whatever, says that Oliver wants to kill your podcast, and
That checks.
yeah,
That checks.
He wants to murder.
We
things.
will bring it back from the dead. I think I have a diamond for Revivify. It'll be fine. I have the diamond. It's about whether or not I have the spell slots. We'll see.
So
So,
for today's episode, I have a pitch for you.
okay.
All right.
I bet you do.
Okay. I decided to go through the Kishonen Tetsu. God, why? This is because we smoked weed.
It's don't blame the weed.
So
I'm fine.
I did bring it up on my screen here, which the viewers at home can't see because it's going to be blown out. But Kishoten Ketsu. There we
Okay.
go. Kishoten Ketsu.
Okay.
Kishoten Ketsu.
You could have pronounced it wrong, and I wouldn't have known. It's a different language.
Kishoten Ketsu. Ketsu. Kishoten Ketsu.
Okay.
Ketsu.
Somebody out there is going to really appreciate you trying so hard at this. That person, unfortunately, is not me.
I'm going to write it down right here.
Yeah.
Ketsu. This is a storytelling method that basically when you are doing or when you're writing a story, generally speaking, especially like a feature-length film or a TV show or whatever, you're going to want to try and do a standard 3-act structure. And so you have your midpoint that acts as your climax. And you have your inciting incident that kind of that's your start of Act 2, basically. Not your start of Act 2, but starts Act 2. And there's a steep incline there where you have rising action. And before that is the fucking Act 1. No one gives a shit about Act 1. So then 2B is right there. And then from the midpoint, you then have, instead of rising action, what's the opposite of rising?
Falling.
Falling action. There we go. So you have the falling action, which is, so for example, maybe your hero, Act 1's inciting incident forces him to go on the defensive. He has to, it's like Linda Hamilton in Terminator.
Okay.
She's forced to go on the offensive or on the defensive. And then midpoint, we switch, and suddenly she is on the offensive, and she is taking some sort of action to de-escalate the situation or solve the problem or whatever. And then, so that's a little less long, but it's still fairly long. About like roughly the size of Act 1, that side. Whereas, I put 2B instead of 2A. God, I am so.
I thought I was the one having a day. Oh, I shouldn't do that to my mic. Smacking it.
2B. There we go. So 2B is the falling action. And then there is the third act, which is basically just wrapping thing. Well, the final like action sequence,
Sure.
when they're in the factory in Terminator, or when they're in the other factory in Terminator 2, or when they're in the military factory. I'm starting to spot a theme, a motif,
if you will.
and then you get to the ending. And that's how most movies, especially American movie or Western movies, are written. And then you have Kisho Tenketsu.
Nailed it.
All right, so we have a figure here, and this is the. Actually, let me start a little bit. Let me start before that. So we have.
You didn't have to smoke.
I didn't.
I function fine. You clearly fall apart.
Sometimes. I also probably should have eaten dinner first. Anyway, so you have a similar starting point. You have Act 1, which is key. That's introduction. And this is a 4-act structure, by the way, which technically, I'll get into it. I also have a distinct problem that I'm going to try to work through in this podcast, where I will go on tangents, but it's like they mutate constantly.
That's super true.
So key, that's introduction. And then show is development, and that is developing what you introduce, the elements you introduce, the characters, the setting, the smells, if you're doing smell-o-vision. Then from there, it kind of just like falls to a conclusion.
Could you actually recreate that noise for me? No, I think it was.
That was one time. I'm glad we were recording.
Same, because I think that was really good. I'd like that on like a sound button.
Once again, this is Cherry the Mouth, everyone. Cherry the Mouth. So 10 is the falling action, and then Ketsu is the conclusion. The idea is that you don't have to have a conflict for this story structure to work. You can use it for really any story.
Okay.
And you'll see this in anime a lot. You'll see it in Kurosawa movies. You'll see it in the movie Your Name. There's another one. What's the one that My Neighbor Totoro? That's the one that everybody always brings up.
I was about to say, yeah.
A lot of Studio Ghibli movies. And I don't agree with there's this idea of like, oh, they don't have any conflict whatsoever. I think that is dramatically underestimating how diverse a standard 3-act structure can be, especially if you're going like 8 sequences. Going in an 8-sequence structure, which is how a 3-act structure is made up, can be used for all kinds of things. And everything in life, not everything in life is a conflict, but we go through conflicts on the day-to-day, and we are constantly dealing with conflicts as humans. They're not always like fighting Lex Luthor. Sometimes it's just I misplaced my lighter. And
that is the biggest conflict I deal with on a day-to-day basis. I don't even move. I'm sitting in the same spot. And I don't move. And then I look down and it's vanished. And I yell at the Fae who live in my house. And I'm like, why are you little demons stealing my shit? And that is truly the biggest that I don't lose my glasses as often as I lose my lighters.
Actually, this is
Police Academy 4 was written like this. Hi. See? But that's we could sell a movie. That's all
true.
I'm saying.
That's true. So 10 again is essentially just falling action, but it is a response to your midpoint, which is really just your climax. I think it's still a midpoint technically. Like really, it's more you introduce everything, and then it's a long uphill of just like doing stuff. Whatever you can do to better show who your characters are and what their deal is. That's the important thing for the rising action or show. And then you hit the climax, and the climax is like a big twist. I don't know if Old Boy counts. Actually, shoot, I don't want to ruin that twist for people. But no, okay. So Old Boy, the twist, I'm not going to say what it is, but would be that climactic moment. And then from there is a fairly rapid decline. That doesn't mean that the movie ends really fast. You still have 2 acts to go. But that is like your big moment in the movie. There's no you're not going climax to climax to climax, as much as we all would like that. You have one big climax and then a rapid falling action, and then you hit the third act where you it's your conclusion. You wrap everything up. The beauty of this structure is it really doesn't matter what you do with it. You could add climaxes throughout that rising action and just be leading to one big climax. These are there. You can still put in plot points. A plot point does not have to be based in conflict. The plot point can be I decide to do laundry. So it would be missing lighter. Probably something to do with love of weed.
For sure.
Family, because that's also important to this story. And then laundry. I do laundry. So there's your rising action in a Kisho Tenketsu format.
Okay.
And then the twist is that the lighter
was in the laundry.
It
and
was
I've
in
now
the
watched
lighter.
it.
Lighter
Fuck, it's
in
the worst.
laundry. So this is a dramatic moment because the lighter could be broken, and it's a really nice lighter.
It's a nice
This
lighter.
is like a $20 lighter.
You were so excited to get that lighter.
I was so excited. So we have lighter in the laundry, this big shocking fucking moment. The lighter in the laundry. My God. And now we're just gonna, I guess, smoke a bowl. Well, actually, no. You're initially because this is your big moment. There's that initial. Is it dead? Is she dead? Could she wake up from this? Doctor.
It's just the tiniest hospital bed.
Clear.
It's really just you're refilling the butane.
Could check to see if there is butane on the clothes. So there's the smelling. And then we just smoke a bowl. So I'm not going to write all that out. And then third act, conclusion, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, we have a happy life together, me and the lighter.
Me and the lighter?
The lighter and I.
That's the name of the movie.
And that's the story. But in a Freytag's pyramid, standard 3-act structure, generally you would have every plot point relating to conflict, or at least as many as you could fit in.
I'm so sorry. My brain just went somewhere else, and I was just thinking about like how I would name it, The Lighter and I, and my brain immediately went to Marley and Me. And I was like, something dies in that too.
So like in Freytag's pyramid, you have this big rising action and then a falling action that are in theory opposed to one another. So again, you're on the defense, midpoint hits, you're on the offense. And in this structure here, the Kishoten Ketsu, that doesn't really happen. It's just living my life, looking around, and then getting high as fuck. Now, you could make the argument that this is a series of challenges because I would probably be looking for the lighter. But I could forgo the conflict, and instead of upping that aspect of finding the lighter, it's more, oh, my lighter's missing. Dang. And then our rising action is just hanging out with the family, smoking with my normal lighter. It's fine. Using my vape.
You have to bust out the vape pen. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Like, it's not really conflict. You could make an argument that it's conflict because it's born out of that initial loss. But maybe not. And here's the thing. We could rewrite this story, and the key could just be introducing me and my love of being a stoner, right? And then show is me enjoying being a stoner, right? And like how much I need this lighter on a day-to-day basis. That's basically what we're getting across, is like, it's how I smoke weed while walking the dog because wind blows out normal lighters. We talk about my love of art and how that would have influenced my buying this lighter because it's a sexy-ass, cool-looking lighter. Stuff like that. Sneaking outside and smoking while the child's inside with mom.
Just abandon him inside to smoke weed like good parents.
Those are your scenes leading up that path, and then the big turning point is the lighter disappears. And then it's reacting to that midpoint, and that is the rapid search. And perhaps we get down to the very end, and it's completely it's gone. And I've moved on, and I've maybe bought a new lighter.
A Zippo like an adult.
Well, you shut your fucking gob.
I won't. It's literally my name.
And then Ketsu is the moment where I find it in the laundry room. And it's this big final scene of me in the laundry room, taking out a joint and lighting up, breathing a sigh of relief and smoke, and maybe like a little cough. And on that cough, boom, cut to credits.
I would for sure have you get caught by your 4-year-old. Dad, what are you doing?
That bad.
Yeah, that's
that bad.
That's 100% what he would do.
That's not the movie I'm pitching. By the way.
I hope not. That's
it is.
Considering that it's just about a lighter.
It's pretty good,
that was
right?
Not bad.
Right. Okay. So
sell me your movie.
The point I'm making here is I want to follow that structure and not free text pyramid.
I figured that was the point. It would be weird if it wasn't.
That doesn't mean that we're going to get rid of conflict or not have like a plot point one or the pinch or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we'll get in. We'll talk about the 8 sequences in another episode. I don't really want to get into it on this one. I just want to get the idea across. We could still have a midpoint and a climactic. Night is darkest just before the dawn. Whatever the fucking, my brain isn't working.
You're the one who knows this, not me. I am the personality higher.
The end of Act 2 into Act 3, where things are at their lowest. It's your hero's lowest
We're going to have
point.
to make a little chart to just keep so we can pull it out at some point.
I could actually have... I think there's actually probably a 3-act structure on here somewhere.
Yeah, but I like the idea of having a physical prop. I like props.
So the other thing about this structure, and again, I'm sorry that y'all can't see this, but I'm just going to say what I'm seeing. This is look at that graph. That's a great graph. Y'all can't see the graph. But this kind of gives, it's still bumpy, and then the twist or change happens, and then there's the outcome of the twist or change. That's it.
Yeah.
You can even have a version of this where I don't get the lighter back. Because story, is...
Sometimes doesn't always have a resolution.
Yeah, it could just end. Maybe it ends with me opening the dryer after or not dryer. It would have been fucked if it was in the dryer. Me opening the washing machine, taking out clothes, and... maybe that's where I was at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, we love bookends.
Yeah, first scene, I'm in the laundry room, and I decide to take care of the washing machine later.
Are we sure this isn't the movie you're pitching? The greatest stoner movie ever produced.
It's pretty good so far.
Me and my lighter.
Is anybody talking in the chat?
Not since Police Academy.
Damn. Motherfuckers.
They're not stoners like us. They don't get it.
They don't get it.
They don't get the passion.
Anyway, so burp, 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 burpity, burp. What was I talking about?
I don't know. I barely ever know.
So basically, you can have all the points in a standard 8-sequence 3-act structure.
Yes.
In Kisho Tenketsu, but you cannot really do the opposite.
It can go one way, but not the other.
Yeah.
Copy.
And these are not, again, let's bring it back to like something I mention a lot in covering movies as a reviewer. There are no real rules. Rules are just guidelines. And guidelines are just kind of a friendly tip from the universe. You know, we've been doing this for 1,000 years. Here's what we know. And then you take that knowledge and you go forth with it. And maybe you corrupt it a little bit, as is the human way. And I went into a corner there.
Yeah, you did. You painted yourself right into that corner. And you said human way like it was going to be able to get you out of it. And then it just didn't. And you're like, and that's it.
That's it.
That's the end of the thought.
Checkmate.
Checkmate me.
Okay, so let's get to the pitch.
Yeah, let's get to the pitch.
I keep going off track.
That's okay.
So here's my pitch. It's called Untie Me or Kill Me.
Untie me or kill me.
Yeah. And I'll give you my cards. So the key is this couple. Well, there's two stories. There's two storylines. There's this deviant couple who kidnap a young prostitute and use her as their like sick therapeutic fantasy. And it's all bondage shit.
Shocking.
Because bondage is cinematic. And it's cheap production value because
fun.
And it's fun. But we know so many...
With consent.
With consent. First thing I think of when I'm like coming up with a movie concept that I'm actually serious about making sooner rather than later. I don't just want to write the script. I want to make this thing immediately. Is production value and how we can do it the cheapest way possible.
Okay.
So, for example, Fatal Future is based on Neil Breen movies that kind of look like ass. And so it was like, okay, well, we can make a movie that's chock full of problems, which is something you're going to get if it's like two dudes making a movie by themselves, which it was. That's not true. Casey helped. So 3 dudes making a movie. And so our production value was this veneer of incompetence that we were injecting into the movie. And then for the head, it's a fucking mannequin head, and it's shot on VHS. That's your production value. So, it's often inverting it a bit and making something that's not a high production value seem like a production value. And then Dr. Deathface has a vagina. And
I was like, you speak that name with respect. Her name is Bedgina. How dare you?
So in this case, rope.
Right.
And other bondage stuff. Like, we have access to all the bondage shit we need. Plenty of people who will do bondage and no bondage.
We do? What?
They don't know our lives. So that's my production value for this movie. And then we have a character who I named Erin when I first wrote this. This is something I started a while back. I don't know why I named her Erin.
Erin with an E?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll go with Erin.
Okay.
She goes into prostitution to help her cancer-ridden husband, which I might drop because that actually doesn't necessarily play into everything, but it could. It could. And for the show portion, the prostitute reveals that she wanted all of this, and that's just a normal movie.
Did you fuck it up?
Yeah. Actually, no, it's fine because you can put anything.
This is the whole point of this.
You can put anything in it. So prostitute reveals that she wanted all of this, and it's going exactly as she planned. She's been following the couple for months before a mysterious incident occurred mere months ago, something she is unwilling to talk about. So the key is they've kidnapped this young woman after we've seen like a couple scenes of both. And for show, it's kind of a slow reveal. It's a terrible sound, isn't it?
Oh my God. Don't ever do that again.
And then 10, we turn on the husband and reveal that the wife has been communicating with this prostitute for months, maybe years. And his wife, needs to spice things up more than he'd assumed. And then Ketsu, the husband, having been made aware of his failings, decides to abandon conflicts as a response and instead allow the two women to become equal parts of his life. A new grouping is formed to create a polycule.
Polycule to the rescue. Da-da-lan.
Not a very good way of doing this, if I'm being honest. I would probably actually change it so that I almost feel like my Ketsu could be my 10.
Okay.
And the rising action could just be like this series of bumpy, like people kind of starting to understand where things are going and kind of falling into them, maybe.
Okay, I want to make sure I'm getting the story right before we get into
I might have written this
where
high.
Shocking. and before we talk about where everything goes, let me make sure I'm on the same page. All right, I use a phrase. Everybody talks about same page, same book, same library. We gotta be there together. Okay, so let me get this straight. A man and a woman are married. The man gets cancer. And because you live in America, she has to become a prostitute?
Yes.
Okay. And
we
then,
could also take out the cancer bit. She could just be a prostitute.
Okay. And then she realizes she likes it or falls in love with the woman?
No. So
Did I miss something?
So basically,
I feel like I missed something.
outside, like before any of this happens.
Okay. She's already been cheating, and was that the twist at the end?
No, the big twist is that the wife has been working this out with her without the husband's knowledge.
With who?
The prostitute.
So the wife's not the prostitute.
Correct.
Who's the
I had
prostitute?
2 married couples originally. We don't need 2 married couples.
Okay, this is why I'm asking you questions, and then you were just like, yes, yes, and then there was a third woman, and I'm wondering where the second woman
Okay,
came
you're a
in.
little too hot. Let me turn you down a bit.
I told him to adjust me. Listen. You're so pretty. Okay.
Okay, so we have
You gotta hit me with it
we've got
again.
the prostitute. Okay, we've got the
Am I
prostitute,
too high for this?
and we've got the husband, and we've got the wife. Okay,
Okay.
all right,
So the wife doesn't become a prostitute.
correct. So there's these two; they're married, and then there's this chick. Okay, we're not going to ignore the cancer husband. And
How can I ignore cancer?
it doesn't exist anymore. He's been wiped off the
He's
timeline.
been wiped off the timeline.
No one remembers him.
Okay. He never existed in the first place.
All right, so they together
Okay.
decide to get this prostitute, right?
Okay.
So they hook up with the prostitute,
Okay.
okay, and then together, they enter this bondage scenario that makes up most of our rising action. Bondage.
They put the prostitute in bondage?
Yes.
Okay.
And the idea is that we think it is non-consensual to start with, because essentially what it turns out to be is role-playing. And we could even have it so maybe since the husband doesn't understand this, okay, there's 2 ways we could go about it.
Okay.
There's the funny way, the fun, happy way, and there's the fucked up, dark way. In this story that starts off as assault. So from there, we do all the bondage. So that's, we've introduced all these characters, right? And we've introduced the situation, which is that they are kidnapping this prostitute.
Okay. Certainly not because of cancer.
Not because of cancer. And the rising action would be bondage. basically. Just bondage. And, like, we can play around with it a bit. Maybe they, leave the house for a bit. I don't know. But this is also supposed to be a cheap movie, so they're going to stay pretty static.
Yeah.
And then the twist, that climactic moment, is the reveal that this has all been staged.
So the husband thinks that he has essentially a sex slave against her will.
Yes.
But the wife has set it up. No, we've talked about this. Everything's cool.
So this makes me realize, because I had thought of it in a more like villainous way, but now that I'm thinking about it, it would be great if this was all a test for the husband.
Like to see how far he would go with stuff?
Yeah. Because that keeps two of the characters somewhat morally not reprehensible, but allows him to be reprehensible. Right?
I mean, I really hate the idea of, like, testing your spouse. So I
mean, none of them are good people.
No, I know. I'm agreeing that it makes the wife worse if it's supposed to be a test. And I'm kind of into that.
So do we say that the prostitute essentially remains the victim?
I'm sorry, real quick.
Okay.
Is this a live, sleazy casting video? On second thought, maybe I've watched too much porn.
You can never watch too much porn.
According to this person.
Stand in Silence is one of my favorites. One of my most dedicated listeners, viewers, whatever. All right, so it's been staged.
Okay.
And the falling action is all the fallout from that.
I think the husband would be pissed that it's staged. I don't...
Well, no. Okay, so my thought process is he doesn't know. We're assuming that they're both bad people.
So...
And then our perspective changes, and we realize they are still both bad people.
But for different reasons.
They're just different bad people.
So this is when the audience finds out that it's been staged, not when the husband's found out that it's been staged.
I mean, I think it's when the husband finds out, because then it's our reaction to that, which is, oh, the wife is bad for these reasons. The husband is bad for these reasons. And the wife is maybe being a bit more like she's acting like her farts don't stink, And so she's placing all of the villainy on the husband. It's like look at all these fucked up things you just did.
Ooh, it would be
and you
really...
never once said no. You never once just, told us to stop.
It would also be interesting if she's been like recording it the whole time and has like the big there's a
presentation.
Thing. No, kind of, because like there's a thing on social media. I am perpetually online. There's a thing on social media where like cheating women will print out screenshots of their men cheating. And so what if she's like set up cameras and is like, these are all of the times where you did something horrible and you could have been like, I think this is a boundary. I don't want to do this. And instead you just went along with it. Like not normal sex, just like, this is the worst of the things that you did. And it's just like, I'm imagining the TV wall from the Matrix, but it's just all bondage.
I think this is actually not bad. So basically by doing this, you're essentially skipping Act 2B. Your whole movie is basically just 2A. And then it falls directly into your third act, which is fairly short by comparison. We could make this a midpoint, nix this structure entirely, and just make it a standard fall at like a second act with a low point for the characters. But that suggests that they learn something or, it gets worse. I don't think it needs to get worse. I think it just ends with the husband being shamed and maybe the prostitute doing her own shaming.
I like the idea of the prostitute kind of like, well, one, we find out that it's been consensual the whole time, so it's not the prostitute hasn't been like necessarily a victim in all of this, but I love the idea of the prostitute going from like sub to dom and is like, no, I actually like this. I like being this part of your life, and you don't get to get rid of me. You don't get to just throw me away. Like, I've been here for long enough, and now I'm a part of your life, whether you like it or not.
That way
and
we,
she like turns it on him.
And we avoid the like hooker with a heart of gold trope.
Yeah.
By doing that, because they're all bad people, just in very specific ways.
In very specific ways.
And so it leaves the audience with their own. I mean, I think we can pretty much agree. Well, yeah, I guess there is a debate between the husband and the wife as to who's worse.
Yeah, and then you just think, gosh, this poor person, this poor prostitute.
Right.
Oh my gosh, she's been put through all of this, and then like right at the end, they're like, listen, we're gonna release you, and she's like, no, you're not. Like you're absolutely not. I'm staying here. I live here now. This is my life.
Okay, all right, and that's a good like just ending.
Yeah, boom, end it there, and then and you could even do like a great image of like the couple kind of like looking at each other like nervously, but like fade to black, roll credits.
Yeah, I would cut to some like, I don't know, heavy metal.
You gotta cut to metal. You
Yeah.
have to cut to metal.
It'd be like it's like Funny Games for people who've watched Funny Games. Do you think this is a good?
I think it's good. So my question is, how do we get from the husband is revealed, it's all been staged, I've paid the prostitute, I'm the wife, I've paid the prostitute the whole time, she's consented to it all, you haven't actually been doing all these terrible things, but I've been keeping track. How do we get to that, to reconciliation between the couple? Because eventually we have to get to that point where they're a united team against the prostitute.
I don't think that that's entirely necessary.
Okay.
I do think that they need to be somewhat united, like a we'll work through this kind of thing.
A cheap shot at couples therapy.
And I don't think it should be an antagonistic relationship towards the prostitute at this point. I think it should be, since we're flipping the tables, they are immediately like, look, we are gonna work through this. Look, Aaron, you can leave. We'll pay you, and you can.
Yeah, and you can
just,
go.
We can just forget all about this. Or actually, no, they don't have to do that because it's already been agreed upon to some degree that that's the point, because they've been working.
You're gonna stay here for a certain amount of time, and then you leave at the end. The wife's established that,
right? And it's so it's like, it's midnight. Okay, you can leave.
It's time.
Yeah,
get out. And she's like, no,
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
And so it's basically just a presentation to, like, the falling action is a presentation to the husband, recapping all the fucked up things he's done.
And then he could realize that while he was doing it to essentially a third party, in reality he really wanted to be doing it to his wife, and they need to like work through some shit. Yeah. It's like save the marriage or end it, which kind of goes back to the title, Untie Me or Kill Me. Like, literally we either need to buckle down and figure out this marriage, or we need to end it.
We could show that he's like toxically dedicated to his wife. By like, that's the reason he goes along with everything. I mean, he's still a bad person.
Sure.
But he's not doing it because he specifically wants to do this thing. He's doing it because
she's watching.
Yeah, and he's okay doing it. It's not necessarily something he wants, but it's something he's okay with. And maybe he likes it maybe more as it goes on. But
what if he knew about the cameras the whole time? He was like, well, you're recording me. Of course I was going to cooperate. Of course I was doing all this stuff. He knew the whole time, but he didn't know that she was going to flip it on him.
That's good. That's a good possible one.
Like, he was like, of course I was doing everything that you said. If I didn't, you would check the cameras. You would know that I wasn't cooperating with you, the wife. I had to do all of these terrible things. And like, that's his excuse, when in reality, he fucking wanted to.
Yeah.
And that he's been under her thumb the whole time. And this is him like letting out the steam and basically abusing another person in response to, or in place of abusing his wife.
All right, that I think we have a story.
I think we have a story.
Cherry, you won't be able to hear this, but this is important for the podcast.
Drink a mile of piss to see her pussy.
Drink a mile of piss to see her pussy. That's what I'm going to play every time we nail that.
That's what you're going to... I did not agree to that.
It's my favorite... See that poster behind you for corruption?
Yeah.
It's from that movie. It's one of the greatest pornography films of all time.
There's 2 people in this podcast. Not just
It's.
you.
I'll show you the movie, and then
Okay. All right. We'll see if that stays in next time.
okay.
He's very confident.
But I think we reached.
I think we've made a movie.
Yeah, I think we've. Wow, we have a way to.
Some is better than none.
Some is better than none.
I think that's it,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. Or some is more than none.
Some is more than none.
Yeah.
Some is more than none.
Some is more than none. So we have a very broad outline.
Yes.
For this film.
Yes.
I'll just add this in here. Stuck with me. All right.
Just smashes into a sitcom. It's like Three's Company, but bad.
That's the you know how like it's the when they did like the Rambo cartoon. That's our spinoff.
The cartoon version of Bondage is incredible.
So with that capped, what do we need to do you think, to prepare for the next episode?
To prepare for the next episode, I think that one of the things that I really like doing is going off of just a title. You have a whole list of like just titles in your phone. Yes, he does. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's so long. He just scrolls for forever, and it just keeps going. So I would like to both of us come up with maybe a handful of titles.
Okay.
And then we'll either pick or if we have people, we'll let people pick maybe. And then just have nothing to go on but a title. And then we'll make a movie based on a title.
Okay. What about this one?
Are we going to keep working
We're
on
going to
this
keep working
one?
on it, yeah. I think every episode we should at least have a segment where we come up with something new.
Yeah,
as
I
like a
like
brain
that.
exercise.
Okay.
So like the starting, the opening.
The big broad strokes
Yeah.
of this is what we think should happen.
Yeah. And
And maybe that could be the segment is just like title games or something.
yeah.
We'll come up with
and maybe we could come back around to it. But
Yeah.
we have like something that we focus on until we reach a dead end or we make a movie.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
That gives us a nice rising action.
Yeah. Hey, look.
Yeah.
We're using what we learned. Okay, so if that's the case, if we're going to keep working on this, then I think that the next thing that we would actually do, we would write a script. We're not going to write a script.
We're gonna write a script.
We're going to write a script.
We're gonna write a script.
I got to work.
Yeah, no, this is so that's the thing about making movies, guys.
You got to work.
You got to work.
You got to work a lot. It's a lot of work.
I think that's going to be the big lesson to take away from this podcast.
Yeah.
Is you're gonna work.
And how much genuine time and effort it takes up your whole like thought process. As soon as you start on a project, it's in your brain. It's at the forefront of your brain. It cannot be a back thing. It's in the forefront of your brain forever.
Yeah.
Well, until you finish it.
Yeah. So the next thing that I would do at this
Okay.
point is I just realized I could make perfectly like straight. I don't remember how to do this.
You're like, I realized this, and then failed immediately.
Fuck.
Okay, what's the next thing that we need to do?
Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. I can make perfectly good lines just like that. I don't know how to.
This is how we got the Exorcist Dominion. That's rude. We're trying our best here.
That's
okay?
weird. I'm working on an Exorcist video right now. I was literally writing it today.
He was playing the Exorcist theme song.
What's on the so Tubular Bells was a song that was made prior to The Exorcist.
I walked in and he goes, "Do you ever just put on Tubular Bells?" And I was like, No, I don't. That's weird. And then he put it on.
It's great. That's how I come up with most of my ideas, is just playing Tubular Bells.
Just vibing.
Just vibing to Tubular Bells. So next episode, we are going to start writing a script. Maybe we can see if we can knock out like a really dirty draft.
Okay, I like this.
I mean, it'll be dirty, but like, it's going to suck. And that's going to be the hardest part.
Rough draft.
You know what? That's the hardest part of this, I think, this whole process, is we're going to have to be okay with people seeing us completely fumbling around, which I realize saying it is something
Yeah.
I did this entire episode. But
Yeah. I think it's easier because they're not in the room with us. I can just pretend that this doesn't exist for a little while, and I'll be like, They're also you're just letters on a screen to me right now. You're not people that I have to look at. I don't have to make eye contact with you. It's a little easier to talk to a mic and a camera than an audience of people being like, let me just shuffle my papers in front of you. Like struggling with a lecture as opposed to struggling with a podcast, I think are very different things. As somebody who has been into public speaking and all of that stuff. I've performed in front of like 4,000 people. It's a lot.
La-dee-fucking-da.
Yeah, I'm good. Took my clothes off and everything.
Nice.
I think that's it.
That's
We're
it?
going to try to write a script on the next episode, which is wild.
Our sign-off should be the original title for the podcast. Do you want to
Let's make a movie? Is that what you want?
Well, instead it should be Go Make a Movie.
Oh. All right.
Ready? On 3.
Okay. On 3 or after 3? We can't be on, like 1, 2, and then go.
Oh, right. Let's do on 3. 1, 2, then go.
Okay.
Okay. This is.
So this is live entertainment, people.
Yeah. All right. 1, 2. Go make a movie.
That actually was pretty good for our first go.
That was good. It'll get
No
better.
practice.
It'll get better in time. Yeah, I'm definitely putting this on the big screen moving forward.
Just a repeating picture of ourselves.
Oh, Allison. Greetings. This is how we got the Exorcist Minion. I didn't say that like it was a bad thing. There was only one bad Exorcist movie, and that's called Mrs. Doubtfire. So John Hinckley used to say before he tried to win Jodie Foster's heart and failed. I don't know that reference, Allison.